These next three are practically identical except for the names listed. And let me just talk about one of them, and it applies to all three of these commissioners. The complaint is lodged by Jeannie L. DeWitt, and the complaint is against Commissioner Fred Castle, Commissioner Greg Fletcher, and Commissioner B.D. Cracker. And here's the gist of the complaint, and I'll just read it. Make sure I'm accurate. Commissioner Fred Castle met with Commissioners B.D. Craddock and Greg Fletcher at Randall's Restaurant on 4/27/2015, the same day prior to the Hawkins County full panel of commissioners, to vote on the exclusive franchise for the operation of ground and convalescent animal service. A letter, copies were intentionally distributed amongst the patrons of the restaurant and amongst the three commissioners, and was discussed this day, 4/27/2015. Later, all three commissioners voted to remove Light Charge Services as provider for Hawkins County. The laws that she states here are the Tennessee Open Meeting Act, Policy Construction, Open Meetings, Notice of Public Meetings, and the Sunshine Law. And like I said, you have the packages. This particular, I'm sure you've read them, this particular one addresses Fred Castle, but then the other two mention Greg Fletcher and B.D. Craddock. Well, here's what this law says. Or it's not, it's a Tennessee Code annotated, not called a law. This is Tennessee Code annotated 8-44-102. Open meetings and governing body defined. All meetings of any governing body are declared to be public meetings open to the public at all times, except as provided by the Constitution of Tennessee. Governing body defined. The members of any public body which consists of 2 or more members with the authority to make decisions for or recommendations to a public body on policy or administration. And then he goes on to talk about other community groups other than county commission. Let me read that again. All meetings of governing body are declared to be public, open to the public at all times except as provided by the Constitution. The members of any public body which consists of 2 or more members with the authority to make decisions for or recommendations to a public body on policy or administration. The meeting. Meeting means the convening of a governing body of a public body for which a quorum is required in order to make a decision for or deliberate toward a decision on any matter. Meeting does not include any on-site inspection of any project or program. Nothing in this section shall be construed as to require a chance meeting of 2 or more members of a public body to be considered a public meeting. No such chance meeting or informal assemblages or electronic communication shall be used to decide or deliberate public business in circumvention of the spirit of the requirements of this part.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
If you'll be brief, sir, you may.
I was there that morning sitting with B.D. Craddock and these other 2 commissioners. There was not nothing said about no voting down here. Someone in the corner, that letter that all the commissioners got, wanted to see that letter where prices of these EMS. There was not one word said about a voting. And you get the Bible out and I'll swear on it. That's the truth that I would walk out here. And that's all I've got to say. There wasn't no voting talked about up there on this but I was there.
All right,
That's
thank you,
all I
sir.
got to say.
I've got the letter. I've got a copy of it.
All the commissioners have it.
All the commissioners got it, and I feel like when it's given to us, it's public knowledge. When you mail something, you can see the envelope's got my address on it. When it's given to me, when somebody asks a question, if I've got it as a county commissioner, one of my constituents, I'm to give it to them.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have affidavit here from the people in Randall's Record, and that is not talking about votes, you're lying.
I'm sorry, say that again now, I didn't hear you.
I've got some affidavits, people signed at the record, we did not mention and talk about voting amongst yourselves, if you would like them.
Y'all want to see that? That's fine.
Sir, I am Mrs. DeWitt. I would like to see that before this now.
Again, ma'am, if you'll be brief.
Okay. I spoke to Mr. Castle on May the 4th. That's when I became aware that all three commissioners had joined together at Randall's Restaurant, along with Mr. Rowland. And in that conversation, Mr. Castle let me know that they discussed, his words were, the patrons of the restaurant didn't want it either. At that given point in time, I asked him what they were talking about, and he wouldn't reveal it to me. Then on the meeting of May the 8th of the Public Safety Committee, Mr. Castle on tape and on audio and video admitted he passed a letter. Now, he said he passed the letter out. He asked other commissioners on the board, did they get that letter? According to John Ness, Darrell Gillum, Stacey Bond, they did not know what he was speaking of.
No, they didn't say that. I watched the video pretty closely.
Okay.
And what he said was, I'm not sure what letter they're talking about.
Okay.
I
But,
don't know if he got it or not, but
okay, but Mr. Castle also stated he threw this in the trash. Now, the point being, he had the letter, they all discussed it. He throws it in the trash before he leaves Randall to come here to vote, and they all three voted the same way. Now, that's a violation of the Sunshine Law.
well, that's just,
You have to meet-
10 other people voted that way also.
Well, that's true. But also, Mr. Castle revealed this is a common practice of theirs. To meet before the morning meeting, to meet before the evening meeting. Now, if you go by the Sunshine Law, you're not to meet in secret. You're not to meet in the dark. You're to meet in the sunshine. Is that not correct?
Mr. McLean, can I address that? It's my constitutional right, ma'am, that I can sit down at a restaurant in a
Yes, sir.
public place and eat with anybody.
Yes,
And
sir.
since I have served, before I served on this commission, I went and eat with Mr. Craddock and Mr. Castle. I've known them both all my life. We eat breakfast at Randall's Restaurant this morning.
That's it.
We'll probably eat at O. Henry's next
Tuesday night
Tuesday night.
or
or
Monday?
Monday. We eat together, and it's not against our law to eat, and we don't meet on county commission deals.
Were the three of you appointed by the county commission or by the county mayor to bring a recommendation back or to make a decision for the county commission on this matter?
No.
In and of itself, the fact that they had a meal together, even if a letter was passed out to the constituents, even if it was passed out to one another, the way I interpret this, if there was no deliberation, there was no weighing of the facts, there was no pros and cons, and I'm going to say what Mr. Witt just said, and I agree with her. We do not know what they're discussing, and we do not know what they were discussing. We have no evidence of what they were discussing. All we have is what they're telling us, and Mr. Rover's telling us. One Tennessee Court of Appeals ruling, which was issued on March 11, 1981, talks about telephone conversations. It was Self versus Beulah. Chance meetings and meetings prior to which zoning matters were considered that did not violate because they did not make a decision, they did not solicit comments, they didn't weigh or consider reasons for or against the matter. Whether a violation occurred would depend on what was said and what transpired during this meeting. Deliberations would be a factor that would have to be considered. If there were no deliberations, in my opinion, there was no violation of the sunshine law.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me just ask, Mr. Castle, did the three of you talk about how you were going to vote?
No, sir. I'll let on this on record too, we will be, again, as long as we're commissioners, we've always done it. And anybody that's done, welcome to come.
So,
We didn't talk about voting.
you did not talk about how you were
Right here
going
in
to
this
vote?
Facebook.
No, nobody asked one of the others how to
No.
change their vote?
Once again, according to what we've heard and what's been discussed, I don't think there was any intentional violation of the sunshine law. So I don't think that we could rule against them for that reason. Probably the idea not to discuss county commission issues if you have a lunch breakfast. That's just recommendation there. But there's nothing, I agree with you, there's nothing wrong with you going to lunch or breakfast with friends. So, yeah.
Well,
If
just
we
one
can't
more
do
thing, you
that-
know,
And I know that all of you all witness that, if you're out somewhere eating, or you're out somewhere, somebody is gonna come up and ask you something. If they're a constituent in your district, or in Hawkins County, period, because they're actually representing all of Hawkins County, are you supposed to not answer that question? If you came up and asked him a question, is he supposed to turn away and walk away and ignore you, or is he supposed to answer your question?
It's perfectly okay to have a meal, but we just should be aware that somebody's watching and be very careful of the conversation.
the question was asked, wonder what lifeguard charges. We've got it on papers right here where they signed. And we had the letter that was sent to us, and we gave it to them. We didn't compare them to Churchill or Hawkins County or anybody else. All was asked was, what does lifeguard charge? And Freddie said, we've got a bill here that we was sent. If you want to see a copy of it, you said you had one, Mr. Clay, I've got one right here. Comes to the mailbox too late. I had mine that morning, it was just in the truck.
Well, I think based on the fact, the information's been presented, that we were dismissed, and I just want to go ahead and make a motion to dismiss all three because all the accusations are the same. So I make a motion that we dismiss it.
All right, we have a motion to dismiss, do we have a second?
I second it because, again, too, I haven't seen no evidence here that says they deliberated and come to a conclusion. Obligated yourself to vote on a particular way.
Okay, thank you. Any additional discussion? If you're in favor of this motion, let me know, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That motion carries.